Waar's ons?
Ons is langs die Oranje rivier.
Is die Senqu rivier.
Senqu.
It's called where it starts. In Lesotho we go there, it's the Senqu River. And that's what we're talking about today. Places like Lesotho, Maboa, Moremi, Richtersveld, where we're at now, and trailers. People ask us all the time about trailers. What about trailers? Now you can't take a trailer to Lesotho. We've taken trailers to Lesotho. We've taken trailers to everywhere. Most of the time there's a problem with one or two of them. And we're going to talk about that. Ons voel baie keer, ons het byvoorbeeld 'n toer wat ons glad nie meer trailers wil vat nie. En dit is daar in Zambië en ons gaan glad nie met 'n trailer in Zambië. Ons vat byvoorbeeld nie, en ek moet die naam sê vir 'n rede, ons vat byvoorbeeld die Mobi Lodges in Moremi in nie, want ons kan nie daai Mobi Lodge suksesvol sonder skade, moontlik nie, moontlik wel, oor derde brug ry. Because the trailer is just too wide. We broke another trailer now on the Maboa trail. Trailers gets damaged and people need to understand it. You've had a few trailers on your tours. What is your general experience with trailers in general?
The general experience with trailers is a few things. One of them is preventative maintenance, servicing the trailer before the tour and making sure the person that serviced that specific make knows what he's doing, and taking spare wheel bearings, a basic thing that we don't have. You don't have to get a new set. Maybe the ones they removed out just as a backup. It's not expensive preventative maintenance. It's something that you cannot oversee.
We take a tour into Lesotho, and it's a hectic climbs and descents in many cases. And all these trailers, by default, they will brake on a downhill. We will use the car to do most of the braking, the gearbox braking, but the trailer by default will brake. And those brakes needs to be checked, it needs to be serviced. If the brakes overheat, the brake drum overheats, the bearing overheats. Ons het al grease uit daai briekdromme uitgery dat dit so op die teerpad drup. Ek sê die routes wat ons ry is moeilik partykeers. Sometimes there's some complications. You've done Cocoland in Namibia. Tell us about that for trailers and the turns.
Especially with stuff coming loose, storage of stuff inside the trailers, and one of the major things we don't discuss this enough is a trailer is there for a specific reason. It's your home away from home, but it gets used as a storage, excessive storage space. Weight, especially on the wrong angles or the front and the rear, can be very dangerous and fatal, especially when a vehicle is under a lot of strain.
Ons het 'n ou gehad, Rudy. Jy het daai trailer geknak want jy het 'n boks hout op die neus gelaai, 200 liter water.
Yeah.
Rudy will understand what I'm talking about. Now he admitted he made a mistake. He put 200 liters of water on the A-frame. It was too heavy. We broke the trailer.
Another thing that I see, John, is I don't know why they do it. On your trailer where it hitched to your car, you have a safety line for if the towage should break off. It pulls up the brakes, and in theory it must stop the trailer. What I do prefer is that you have a safety chain, especially when we are off-road, and that can prevent the trailer from hooking off, or when it hooks off, that it runs away. I had a trailer not long ago on a tour that luckily when it hooked off, it turned and not going off.
Did it not have the chain?
No, it did not have a chain. So the chain I'm talking about is the safety chain, the original, the old school ketting wat ons het, wat hom vashou. A lot of the new trailers don't have that.
Let's talk about, this is a very controversial topic.
Yeah.
You go to these shows, there was one now again in in Malmesbury, and then there's the big ones. There are many trailer suppliers. I wonder how many of them has taken their trailers up and down the Bosso Trail between Nosop and Mabua 10 times and make it through.
Another thing that I see is this is the most extreme example of I had a hired trailer. A lot of the hiring companies, and this is real, this I've seen this with my own eyes, they lock out the handbrake function of the trailer.
Why?
So the explanation is that the person who's towing it, which is unfamiliar, which is also on the driver's side most of the time real, forgets the handbrake up when they detach the trailer at night time when they camp, and in the morning obviously the trailer brakes is up and they overheat the brakes. I've seen it where they actually drill a hole through the mechanism and lock it out. No safety chain, just a cable that pulls up when the trailer detaches.
Yeah, we see, I tell you guys, trailers are controversial. We love taking trailers on our tours, but sometimes we see these things with these, and I talk about trailers, it includes off-road caravans, off-road trailers, they call it 4x4 trailer or 4x4 caravan. There are many trailers on our tours, and you think about, well, how can they, it's like a small little garden refuge removal trailer with big all-terrain tires on, and they call it an off-road trailer or a 4x4 trailer. Lots of the trailers we break on our tours, we don't break the trailer. The trailer breaks, either because of the driver goes too fast, misunderstands the track, the tires are too hard, the suspension is not properly spec'd for that trailer.
Yes.
Some trailers got airbags in, and the airbags is too hard. Remember, airbags is there to assist your suspension. It's not suspension. Anyway, that's a whole, suspension is a whole other can of worms. But some of these trailers are just not made for what we do. And then the suppliers convince the user or the buyer that it's a proper 4x4 off-road trailer and it can go anywhere. Mr. Supplier, take that trailer, go and drive the Bosso Trail between Nosop and Mabua Sehube 10 times. If it makes it at a normal average transfer speed or transport speed, it's not too fast, a safe speed, you've got a very good product. If it doesn't make it, don't go and sell it as an off-road trailer. That's off-road. Off-road for us doesn't mean die paadjie van die skool af na die rugbyveld toe en is 'n grondpaadjie. That's not off-road.
I think the main things that we have to look at is the driver, does he understand towing first of all, then loading that trailer within its legal GVM. If it can load that much, it's not necessary.
If the GVM's 2,000 kilos, you can add another 5. No, you can't do that.
No, but it's not necessary that you load that trailer as much. If you load it that much, you have to use caution. You have to look at going over a crest or going through a ditch. That's all the things that after a while takes its toll on the vehicle. The other thing that when I don't think we're going to get too much into that today is your electrical system between your vehicle and your trailer needs to be in proper, what would be the right word?
It must be, you know what they must do?
You can't have a 10 millimeter in the front and a 5 millimeter at the back cable. It needs to be a proper, at least 16 millimeter cable. Most of your double cab vehicles today is 5 meters. Is it 5 meters?
4.5, 5 meters.
And on the trailer side especially, and when the setup, the electrical setup is on the trailer side, it gets complicated, but you have to look into that, especially it's a combination.
System.
Same with suspensions, I'm not going to go into that. The coilover vehicles at the back, that runs coils at the back, your Raptors, some of your Nissan MPs. If you have a suspension on your vehicle that bottoms out, that shock needs to go somewhere. It goes to the A-frame on the trailer.
Yeah. Let's go back to electrical systems on trailers. We have a lot of problems on our tours with trailers and fridges and batteries that goes flat. It's one of those things the typical user out there today, and this is just my opinion, use that trailer to go to somewhere where there's power where you can plug it in. Come to the whip. Yeah. Come park your trailer for 4 days without it getting hooked up to your car with a proper DC to DC system, and see what happens in that trailer with your fridges and your batteries. Make sure your trailer or your caravan can be parked for our tours for at least 3 days, because our longest stay at any campsite ever, 5 days. Where's 5 days? Mabua. Yeah, but we also split it up maybe into 2. Yeah, let's say 5 days. 5 days is very difficult for battery and storage.
Yeah.
But I would say if you can park your trailer for a full 3 days with typical solar installation, then you've got a good setup. If you cannot run your trailer for 3 days without AC power or power from ESCOM or from the service provider, AC power from ESCOM or whoever, you've got a problem. You've got to solve that problem. The trailer must do 3-4 days at least as a minimum.
Add something else. If your vehicle has got good enough can be, I'm not going to talk descent and approach angles, but it's got good ground clearance. Your trailer needs to have exactly or even better ground clearance, because the lowest point depends, how can I say it? It determines your capability. The next thing on that is movers.
Sure.
Yeah, I've had only negative experiences with movers. The argument or the conversation, debate, is when I get home, I need to move it in there and there and there. I understand that completely. But for that one time you use it, we don't use it out here. Look, today we are in sand. That movers will not move that trailer in this thick sand. What it will do, sorry John, what it will do is it will get you stuck when you go through a ditch. Grab onto the tire and you will lose the tire.
And then try to maneuver a trailer in this with a mover.
No.
By the time you got it there, all the batteries in the caravan's flat.
All the batteries is flat, and the other thing, the jockey wheels on most of these things are a hard plastic wheel. It's not designed for sand or mud or even grass, thick grass. It's not designed for that. So the ability you have to move around the trailer again, if you're in an off-road situation, we don't use that. I don't think that is, for the risk of having damage, it outweighs the luxury, if I can call that.
I'm going to tell you about one guy. We had two on this last tour. A big trailer and a big mobilage. Isak, you must meet this guy. He had a nuclear power station in his... When we parked for 3 days, all we heard all day long was... And I thought, what's going on? He had an air conditioner running for 3 days. Every day. Bula as well. Bula had a bit of bad luck. We'll talk about that on another occasion. But power, going back to power and comfort, the trailers makes it comfortable. There are pros and cons to the trailers. In our situation, we'll never pull a trailer, but sometimes you go to these places like this and you want to park off here for 5, 6, 7 or 10 days or for whatever, how long you want. That trailer makes super sense. Tomorrow morning we've got to pack up the whole thing, go for a drive, come back and set up camp again. The trailer guys, hulle gooi 'n lyn in die water. Hulle het al lank al 'n visie gevang, hulle sukkel ons nog op die kant om kamp op te slaan. So we talk about, there are many positives, but the negatives are there. You can sort it out. It's easy to sort out the negatives and not cause frustration, because frustration on a camping trip is a bad thing. So We had many problems in the past also, not only on trailers, by the way. But a rivet, for instance, is a bad thing. A rivet gun is designed for certain applications, but to put mission critical components together with a rivet gun is a bad idea. Like doors on trailers, or cupboard doors, or anything, hinges on gull wings, on trailers, even on cars as well. Replace your rivets with nuts and bolts. On that trailer, like your vehicle, it's not only about trailers here. Go before your trip, go to each nut and bolt and see if it's tight. Check if the nut is a nylock nut, not a normal nut. You've had that experience, things come loose.
Yes.
How many tow bars have you had that comes loose? How many?
Leaf spring bolts coming out, breaking off.
New bolts?
New bolts. The main thing you need to take with you is, first of all, is a set of wheel bearings.
Always.
But saying that, a good set of wheel bearings without grease can't help you. It goes in a combination. Make sure you got the right spanner to loosen the castle nut on that wheel bearing on the outer. When someone works on that trailer for you, you send it to a fitment center. That's what I do. I do trust people working on it, but I would ask, can I see the old bearings? Can I see the condition of the bearings? When they fit the bearings, make sure you use a proper grease. I prefer a marine spec grease. It's a little bit more water resistant, and it's got there's a lot of technical expertise out there. Some people will say, yeah, we use this grease. Some manufacturers use another one. Just make sure you have enough of it, and the tension on the wheel bearing is tightened to the correct.
It's very easy, and I'm going to use this as an example only. You can go to the Kruger National Park and blow a bearing on a trailer, and help is somewhere close by. Small town, big town, there's always a mechanic or somebody that can sort out that problem. But if you go where we go, and you seize a bearing on a trailer, we can fix that problem if we have the right stuff. Grease, like you say, a spare set of bearings. It doesn't have to be the best quality even out there. A spare set of bearings will cost you 500 rand.
Yeah, I think that is already a good set. When you attempt a proper overland tour where you're going to do thousands of kilometers and you're not sure where the closest service station is, I would even go as far as getting a complete hub assembly. That means your drum, your not so much your brake linings. There's some way you can get around that, but your wheel studs and your drum, get a complete hub set. I know it's extra weight, but you got a full set of spares that can be de-assembled if you need wheel studs, if you need a drum, if you need the wheel bearings. Just taking wheel bearings is a good thing, but if you break a seal at the back of that hub, removing that back wheel bearing, you're back to square one, because you're going to have immediately contamination.
I'll tell you why what you say is important. We did a trip to, where was it, to Monopools, and we had a trailer that broke the wheel studs. That's a whole new disco. We're not going to go there now. So we broke the wheel studs. The wheel came off. We never found that wheel, by the way. And the wheel hub was on the hard gravel road, and it broke the bottom of that wheel hub out.
Yes.
Luckily, Jock, where's Jock? Superman. And myself, we stripped that thing, we swapped wheel studs around, and we could make that hub, it's a 5-stud hub. We could make it fit still back. We sorted it out, we cleaned out the bearing, and it was half the hub was gone at the bottom. And we made it work. They finished the tour. But if they didn't, if it broke further, the trailer would be. We were like 500 kilometers away from anybody that could help us. But we made a plan. But imagine you had a spare hub, and the problem was a bigger one, the problem was solved. A spare hub for a trailer, if you do long distance or far away overland trips like you just said, it's not expensive. You spend 20 rand on the trailer, spend 50 cents on the hub. It costs nothing.
I think the minimum stuff you need to, or the minimum equipment you need to take with, especially on trailers, is your damper shock on the front of your caravan or trailer. Then I would say a full hub assembly. This might sound a bit excessive, but you've got proper space with you. All that stuff is removable and you can strip it out. If you just need the studs, you can do that.
Where did we break that front shock? We broke one on...
I broke one, well, not me, but on my missing main number 3.
Yeah.
And I had to make a plan there. Now that shock is not easy to replace, but there's always someone on the tour that got a little bit of knowledge, and a few guys together, they can do a lot. And then also make sure that you look at your shocks, because the shocks on some of the trailers are very important, especially the trailers, we know the names of it, the independent trailers, independent suspensions. Without the shock, you're lost. It's a bad day for you. That is the minimum, I think. It's a little bit of space, but you do the same for your vehicle.
There's so much space in that car, but we can't carry, as tour operators, we can't carry all these spares. You've got to take some responsibility for spares. Maybe the suppliers of these trailers should make up spare kits for the longer overland tours. Yeah. There are many overland tour operators like ourselves, and I bet you they will listen to this discussion, and you are welcome to give your input here as well. We don't mind, of course we don't mind that, but I'm sure that, and then the trailer manufacturers, take a little bit of responsibility and say, if this happens, what then? Because we're going to phone you and say, hoorie, ons het 'n vreeslike groot, amper sê ek hoe groot probleem. 'n Vreeslik, ons kort nou dit, maar ons sit in Banguelu swamps. They don't even know where that is. Anyway, we will solve the problem. But maybe bring the space with. We can continue with this all day long. It will be a long discussion. Brake fluid on many of these trailers, or brake systems. Andre, we can talk about this. You know what's a good starting point for you guys out there going on our tours? We send you a document. A lot of time and effort and thinking goes into this document. We don't explain everything. We don't tell you that you must look after your own rubbish in the go time. We just say keep the place clean. We got this fantastic document. We send it out a few weeks before the tour starts, called the go time. There's a list of recommended parts and equipment and liquids and whatever we think you should take with. Read that document. Don't skip that bit because you're excited to go on the tour. That is based on many, many years and many thousands of kilometers. How many trailers have we had in the last 6 years? Maybe 1,000. How many broke down? 100. How many trailer issues have you had in the last year? 10, 20, 100, 50, 20, I don't know.
I've had massive failures, about 3.
Yeah, big, massive. In the last year, on quite a few tours, 3 catastrophic failures. I've had, you guys have seen the problems we've had. Just read, do a little bit of research, have it serviced properly, carry the right spares, don't drive too fast, don't drive too slow, make sure your trailer is properly equipped. And it's the same, we can make another video about cars and we'll get to the same issues on vehicles.
I also think there's obviously there's a lot of angles in the technical side of your vehicle, but take this in mind. If you do attempt to go off-road, there's a lot of people that will give you advice freely. You can filter out what you think you need, but take the time and invest a little bit. It's also a fun thing to do. It can be a fun thing to do. I don't think it needs to be if technical stuff is not your thing, but you at least need to know the basics. We give guidelines on our specific tours. We give guidelines on each tour. Each one is a little bit, the dynamics of it's a little bit different. But I think there's also, you can ask a friend.
So, I mean, like I say, we can continue, we'll chat, and I bet you lots of guys want to take part in this discussion. This, what we say here, is our opinion based on what we see every day.
The experience.
The experience and I'm sure many guys have experienced problems in the past about things. But if you think about what you're doing and how you do it, and if there's a problem, is it solvable? Can we fix this out there? Because we can't call somebody to come. We've got to sort it out right there. We have never left one behind, a person. We have left a trailer behind. But that's unfortunate. There's nothing we can do about that. Think about how you're going to solve your problem. And then hope that problem that you are sort of thought about is the one. Because there might be another one that you can't.
I think if I can start it from the beginning, where you decide you're gonna set up your rig, a vehicle and a trailer, and at the end where you end up on the specific kind of tour, which is your dream tour, depending on how far you go overlanding. Wherever you're in between this line here, I think the most important part on this discussion is speak to your overlander partner. Doesn't matter who it is, but that guy should know the area you're going to travel in, and he should know what you're going to take along. From there you can ask advice, mechanical advice, parts advice, but speak to the person that knows the area you're traveling in and make the right decision from the day you buy that trailer right through where you're going to go to a more extreme tour now, and what do you need to take on that tour.
It was a cool. On the banks of the Gariep, the Oranje Rivier, the Senkyu River, call it what you want. This is a fantastic place. Come with us, bring your trailer, we'll sort out whatever issue you got. But make sure that you're ready for the issue or the problem. If we have things to fix it with, or things to solve the problem with, we'll solve that problem. Don't get the idea that we don't want the trailers. We don't mind the trailers or the caravans at all. There's one or two tours that we do, but 99% of the time, anything out there, or most of the equipment out, the trailers out there, can do these tours. Just be ready for it.
And I think the things that goes wrong on tours like this, we need to allow, there's a lot of expectations, but we still need to allow for some adventure. We'll get a flat wheel, we're going to fix it. It's part of overlanding. We'll get a small problem, we'll figure it out. It's part of overlanding. Positive attitude, the glass is always half full, and we'll get through it.
There you go.
Most of the time.
Until next time, we're going to discuss what we're going to think about our next video of tomorrow. But yeah, we'll find one to talk about it. Thank you for watching. Subscribe, like, go jump in the river if you want.
Let's go.